So I'm back on the rabbit. I took a little break last night, thinking about everything that maybe I did wrong or what could have gone wrong in terms of the transmission. And I watched a couple more videos, just trying to figure out what was going on. But I did everything right. I was extra careful in putting the transmission back and the seal. So I know everything's fine as far as what I did. I have no idea why it's leaking again. I make sure that seal was perfectly seated, um, straight, and let's see. The one thing I was thinking about is the seal did have a little bit of grease around it. So I don't know if that could have done anything, but that's why I just said forget it. I'm just gonna leave it alone. Um, so right now I'm sitting in the car. I'm running it again, and I'm gonna warm it up and see how it goes. I just looked down there and there's nothing coming out right now because it's cold. So we'll see. But the other thing I could think of maybe having a problem would be the what do you call it? The seals on the oil pump, if at all. But I don't know. Um, or maybe the torque converter. But normally the torque converter was dry when I took it out, and I did drive the car for a while before with the other one. I mean, I went pretty far too, um, but 40 minutes drives or whatever. But yeah, I'm just going through my mind, just trying to think of what else could be causing that, if anything. Um, as you saw in the previous video, I did have a different seal on it. It was an aftermarket, but this is the OEM seal, so it was even worse than the aftermarket. So if it's something else, the seals really didn't matter. Those were fine. Um, so I may be wrong with that because it was doing it with the OEM seal. So it should have been fine with the other seal, unless there's something else going on with the transmission, uh, which is kind of odd because this is a totally different transmission, a different year. The original was 2007 from this car. This is a 2008 from Jetta. It's the same 009G, but I got a similar lick on both of them, and I'm using the same, not the same torque converter, but same one that came with the transmission. So two different torque converters, two different transmissions, everything. Unless I did something wrong installing that seal, which, I mean, there's only one way. It goes in there, and then there is a stop on the back where you'll feel it pretty much hit, and so you can feel the ridge on the top, just like the axles. So it's, unless you really hammer it in there, you're gonna wreck it. But no, I tapped it in there just to make sure with the old seal everything was fine. I was extra careful when I put back the torque converter. I put all the nuts by hand first, and then I went ahead and tightened them like I did before. So I've been racking my brain trying to figure out what the cost might be on that, if there is an actual problem, or if it's just the seal that you needed to get rid of the grease that came on the inner seal or the inner diameter. I did put a little tiny bit of grease, very light, on the outside of the seal in order to get it to go in there a little smoother. I didn't want it to push it in dry. And that did help, but when I tapped it, you could tell that it was pretty tight. Well, not extremely tight, but it was nice and snug. Not only that, and I even thought, well, what if the seal just popped out? No way. There's no way the seal can pop out because there's just no space. The torque converter is right there, and maybe if the torque converter is moved, uh, it might move 1 or 2 millimeters. I mean, it's not that much if it does move when you tighten it, but it's really, really tight right behind there. So I'm still wrecking my head trying to figure it out. I'm taking a break from it, just Try to think of everything that could be causing that because the transmission has been working fine, like I said, and the other leak with the oil seal, it was a lot less. It would just still lose some fluid when I park. So right now I want to see if it keeps, losing fluid after it cooled down and now it's back running again. I want to see if anything changes, but I want to warm it up completely and check down there. So right now it's at half of the gauge is halfway. It's usually when it's 90 degrees or and 190. That's when you have the temperature or the fluid up to temperature, I should say. So it's one of those head scratchers. I mean, I was trying to remember how many times I actually took this transmission now before, and this was the fourth time for different reasons, obviously. Um, this last time was to change, well, the seal, but before that, it was to change the transmission. So this car has been sort of a love-hate relationship because it's the last part that I'm trying to finish setting up or fixing, but it's still throwing me a curveball here. So right now I'm just sitting in the car, just warming it up, making sure it comes up to temp. Since I want to do a couple of cycles of on and off just to see. I was gonna drive it, but I think I'll do it here. It's fun. So I'll just put it in gear. I did put the scanner on. There are no codes except for the power steering code. I think that's because he was up on the jack stands. So I went ahead and clear everything. That code is still there, but that's the power steering, which has nothing to do with that. I did make sure everything was plugged in, making sure I didn't leave anything out. The car is working. Actually, sounds pretty good right now. I don't even hear anything weird. So I don't know. It could have been a fluke. So I'm gonna wait here and see what happens. I know I've been on off, but I just wanted to share this because in case somebody else does run into that, at least you'll have some kind of reference, if you will. I mean, if it has to come out, it has to come out. It is what it is. But before that, before I assume that it does have to come out, I want to check it again and just kind of see what it does. Um, I just looked at the oil tray down there, and it's very little, so it's not like the whole thing came out or anything like that. But yeah, I'm gonna keep checking it and see what happens. But yeah, I don't know. I really don't have a specific answer to share with anyone because I'm still trying to see what it does and see if it has to come out again. Um, I don't I don't know if it will, but we'll see what happens. So I am going to sign out for now and keep going.